What's going on? Welcome into Plizont's podcast, filled to the brim with glitchy analysis, freezing cold takes so cold that they're boiling hot. I'm here with my friend Collin Hatfield, who is a content creator on TikTok and Instagram, and in my opinion, a basketball savant. This guy knows ball, and I have several topics that I want to talk to him about today. Collin, how are we doing? Are we doing good?
Doing fantastic. Hey, I'm on cloud nine after that intro. Really appreciate it. Very, very
Absolutely. It's truly my pleasure. Let's go ahead and start with the first and probably most important thing is where can people find you on social media if they want to check you out?
So you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Collin, Collin .Hatfield Show.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. I strongly recommend that you check this guy out. You talk about breakdowns of defense and offense on both ends of the floor. Doesn't matter the team. I mean, this guy covers the whole league. It's amazing. So I want to get started here talking about, in my opinion, probably the most intriguing team from a pure basketball standpoint, talking about the Houston Rockets, right? We have such a strange lineup, but it's been working so far. I think as of this recording, they're 5-2. And then let me break down some of these stats. I collected a few stats to specifically about the Rockets because I am obsessed with their lineup. Let me pull these up real quick. So the Rockets right now, as it sits, they're number one in rebound differential, obviously. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're running four guys at 6'11", number five in block differential, number four in scoring defense, number six in defensive rating, number two in scoring offense, which I was shocked to see that. But they're number one in three-point shooting as well. But the contrast to that is actually, we'll get into that in a second. So talk to me first about what you think makes the Rockets defense work so well.
Got to start with the head of the snake. Ime Udoka is one of the most brilliant defensive minds, I'm just going to say, that the game has ever seen. You know, I love to go back to this clip of Kevin Durant before he was on the Houston Rockets, when he was on the Mind the Game podcast, and he had mentioned that Udoka will just throw things at you to mess up your rhythm. You know, he'll come out first couple of possessions. If you're in the pick and roll, he's dropping. Then he's going to blitz you. Then they're falling back into a 2-3 zone. Now they're switching across the board. You can never get comfortable with him. And I think that's the starting point. But then, like you just mentioned, you have a lineup of all 6'7" plus guys that are athletic, defend, give effort, and then they're going to close every possession with the rebound. It's just so difficult to score on this team. I don't know the answer. It doesn't really make sense right now.
Yeah, I love the different looks that they're throwing at the guards that they're playing. Yes. Cade Cunningham and SGA, at least at the first part of both of those games, Houston ended up losing, but those games were extremely close going in. I mean, the OKC Houston game went into double OT, right?
2 OTs.
But the different looks that they threw at both of those guards was insane. Amin Thompson, of course, one of the best young defenders in the league, but Jabari Smith Jr. can, in my opinion, guard 1 through 4. I mean, it's a little hard for him to guard the 5, but 1 through 4, elite defender. What do you think about Houston's ability to clamp down guards? Because in the West, right, we've got some very guard-centric teams.
Yes. I think you have to start, obviously, with the game planning, the ability to disrupt rhythm. But at the start of it, disrupting rhythm comes down to, I think, a very personal element. Having guards that are willing to be just irritants. Josh Okogie, my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
Played out of his mind to start. Picking up full court. You got Amin Thompson that can do the same thing. So you've got these guys that are big physical athletes that are getting into the bodies of these, elite guards that they're facing on a nightly basis. And then you allow Udoka on the back end to change coverages. As soon as you start getting comfortable, let me disrupt you. If you found a little bit of success getting the pick and roll, okay, I'm going to start trapping you now. Now we're going to throw the zone at you. So it's just very difficult to establish a rhythm on an individual level, on a team level. And then also the other issue is we're in the age of target ball, but there's no one on the Houston Rockets to target. They can switch everything. You can play lineups with Kevin Durant as the small ball 5 or Jabari Smith as a small ball 5. Mm-hmm. And you can switch everything across the board, and you still got someone very athletic coming over to rotate and defend at the rim. So for guards, there is no comfortable spot, but you will see obviously the guys that are the best in the world caliber, your Cade Cunninghams, your Shai Gilgeous-Alexanders, they're going to find a way. SGA, let me stop there, but just the ability to shot make can allow him to separate at times versus such a phenomenal defense.
Yeah, I think the thing with the Houston Rockets right now, I guess the caveat that I'll give for this team, I actually, right before this recording, did a Western Conference power rankings, and I mentioned them as my number one playoff contender. Like, they have the ability to win a playoff series or two, but I left them just short of being a finals contender. And the reason that I did that is, in my opinion, they really lack a true facilitator. So I gave you all these statistics about how elite their defense is and even how good they're scoring the basketball. But the combined record of the teams that they've beaten is 14-28. They're number 27 in turnover differential, 19th in assist differential. They have a negative assist differential, and 30th in three-point attempt differential, meaning they're not shooting the basketball hardly at all beyond the arc, which is ultimately a concern for me because I don't think you can go into an NBA playoff series and not be able to shoot the ball. So what do you think? Is there any ability for them to solve these woes with the current roster that they have right now?
It's kind of difficult. The 3-point volume, I'll say yes, because once DFS gets back, Dorian Finney-Smith has been a great catch and shoot guy, spot up guy in volume for years now, while still not taking away from the defense. So that's going to be very helpful. Also, as a coach, it's really unfortunate because you want Kevin Durant to be able to operate in all his comfort spots. And when he finds space and time to get to the three ball, you let it rock. But you might need to ask him to shoot more threes because, like you said, we are in the age of numbers. Just sheer volume. The Celtics are shooting 47 threes a game.
Yeah.
It's literally just math. You have to be able to keep up and shoot at least somewhat of a volume. Guys are knocking them down, but you got to get more up a game to be able to compete deep into the Western Conference. Now, the ball handling, that's where I'm a little concerned. I'm still holding out hope for Reed Shepherd. We are, 7 games into his second
into the Rocket season? Yeah.
Yeah, and he's been thrown into the fire. Who starts their kind of first real season, and your first game is against the OKC Thunder. Cason Wallace is picking you up full court. Like, that is extremely difficult. But at the same time, I love the word that you used, like hiccupy. They don't sometimes they don't establish a good rhythm. They're not getting the ball up early because you're getting turned 3 and 4 times. We can't get actions going because the pressure is forcing the guard to turn his back. Now, if Kevin Durant's coming off a screen, you can't get it to him immediately. Or if Sengun's able to slip because 2 stay with Durant, can't get the ball to him. So I hope Reed Shepherd can step in and make that work. But I don't know. As we creep towards December and January, if it doesn't look like he can do that, they might need to go out and make a move because it really is title or bust. You went all in to go get Kevin Durant. I don't think you can stop short when you are seemingly pretty close to making it all the way.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, off the cuff, this is the guy that I thought that they should trade for, Drew Holiday. I think that, obviously in the latter part of his career, I think he wants to compete for a championship. He's a good facilitator. He has finals experience. There's so many good things about Drew Holiday. And he's not a guy that you have, like, if you went and traded for, a big name point guard, you have to play him the whole game. Drew Holiday knows what it means to be a rotation and a role player at this stage in his career. So I think that would be a great pickup. Obviously they're missing Fred VanVleet from the injury. If he was on the Rockets still healthy, I would 1000% make this a premier finals contender.
For sure.
But we'll have to wait and see what happens with Reed Shepherd's development. I thought before the season started, trading for Kevin Durant meant, Sengun is going to have to play at an all NBA level. And he is. He's playing unbelievable basketball right now.
Fantastic.
People mentioned like baby Jokic last season in the playoffs. This guy might just turn into Jokic, period, right? Craziness.
100%. Like, over the summer, I made a video. I was like, y'all got to stop calling him baby Jokic. He's Alperen Sengun. He is his own monster. And you look at some of the growth, that fourth quarter against OKC.
Yep.
He's got Chet, and he does that little crossover into the hesitation pull up. And it's like, yo, when did you get that in your bag? You weren't doing that last year.
Yeah.
So it's the complete offensive growth, amazing passer. He's knocking down like 40+% from three, that's mind blowing because he wasn't doing that last year. So I think if you're Houston, you have to be pleased with his jump. And you don't have to be worried about him defensively. He still gives a lot of effort. Obviously, we're not calling him a Chet Holmgren level defender or a Wemby level defender, but he's more than serviceable, and he's going to give effort on a nightly basis. You can't develop and turn out a better draft pick than what they've done with Sengun.
I 1000% agree. And like you said, I think when they get DFS back, those shooting woes are going to end. The one thing, like watching specifically that OKC game, because I think, looking at these other games they played, like versus the Grizzlies and stuff, I thought, those aren't really comparable games because you're not seeing that in a playoff environment, right?
Exactly.
OKC is such a good example, especially early on in that game. There were several shots there with like 2 seconds left on the shot clock, and they went in. And it was very fortunate for the Rockets. I just don't know how sustainable this team is. And what I really want to see is I want to see more games like the OKC one. Like I said, they've won 5 in a row as of this recording, but they've played 5 teams with a losing record. So, let them play a Nuggets, a Golden State, even in Minnesota if Anthony Edwards is healthy again. I want to see what that looks like.
100%. And I think you look at their 2 losses, you've lost to Detroit and you've lost to OKC. 2 teams that can defend and put pressure on the ball. So we could see late in crunch time, Kevin Durant can still go and get his own. But if you have another guy bringing it up and Kevin Durant's involved in the action, they look really disoriented. Reed is kind of getting pressured all the way up. Amin is getting pressured, and he's not the most natural point guard. So I hear you 100%. And tonight, at the time of this recording, their matchup with San Antonio is going to be a very good
That's going to be a great one.
Yes, of where they're truly at and how much growth has been had since those first 2 games with both Detroit and Oklahoma City.
Well, you know what? You're a certified pro at this because that is a perfect transition into talking about our next topic. Victor Wembanyama. Man, the first 5 games of the season were out of the – I mean, everybody throws around like the alien comment and whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe him. I've never seen – like Kevin Durant is the closest comparison, and Kevin Durant is like nowhere near how exemplary this play is from somebody so big. And there were rumors that he's grown, and I believe it. I believe it. He looks huge.
Yeah.
He's massive. So first, let's talk about number one. The Lakers and the Suns have gotten the better of him over his last 2 games. I think he shot a combined like 9 of 28 from the field, 9 turnovers, and he fouled out versus the Lakers in a primetime matchup. And, I saw I actually made a video on this myself and made some comments, or there were some comments on the video that said, oh, well, if he didn't foul out, the Spurs would have won. But at the same time, that might not even be the case. But secondarily, LeBron didn't play. Austin Reeves didn't play. Right? Luka carried that Lakers team all the way to the end.
Right.
My question to you is, what did the Lakers and the Suns do so right to slow Wemby down? Because that is obviously the key to beating the Spurs team.
Yeah, I just made a video on this, and I think it's really wonderful because it means 2 things. It means we're seeing the entire league react to Wemby's greatness, which puts you in the frame of mind that he's on the track to superstardom. But it also is going to shine a light on some of the flaws in his game. And what the Lakers and Phoenix did so well is, when I went back and watched the Phoenix game, I was confused because they switched like Grayson Allen on him in the first quarter.
Yeah.
I was like, hold on, what are we doing? What do you have up your sleeve? That doesn't make a lot of sense. But then you see Grayson Allen switches on him, but then we walk a spy over, we walk someone to the nail to sit in the gaps. And now whichever way he goes, he's running right into help. And then, we're willing to sag off a castle. We're willing to give you all jump shots, but we are not going to allow Wemby to be comfortable. We're not going to allow him to get to the paint, and we're not going to let him move anywhere without a body in front of him. So I think that's the first staple of it, is the fact that he's not able to move without someone impeding his path to the basket, which explains the switching. Teams have been freely, the Lakers and the Suns have freely been switching. I don't know if people saw, but even in the Lakers game, there was a rep where Luka was guarding him on the perimeter. And a lot of people would think, whoa, that's crazy. Why would you ever let Luka guard Wemby? Because Luka knows I can press up, play the shot, get into his body, because on that specific rep, I got Rui right in the lane line as a spy, and I got DeAndre Ayton in the gap on my right. So I don't need to be worried about getting blown by. I've got help on either side. Let me take away the pull-up jumper. So I think, the game plans have been really detail-oriented, and both of those rosters, while they don't have a ton of pure defensive specialists or defensive type guys, they're really well coached. Jordan Ott has been amazing for the Suns. And I think by now we all know how capable JJ Redick is.
Yeah.
But also there was a lot of individual buy-in from guys who may not have the best defensive reputation, but we're going to get down in the stance. We're going to be very physical, push his catch points out as far as we can, send help over. Occasionally we'll front the post, but if we can't get it, we'll sacrifice that to keep him in front of us and not getting any paint touches. So I think the game plans have been phenomenal, and the whole league is going to notice and catch on. So I'm interested to see how they're played in the coming weeks.
I'm also really curious about that as well. So I grew up playing high school football. I was on the offensive line. This is kind of a short reference to, in my opinion, how you stop Wemby. I was always taught, if you're setting up for a block, you take your hands and you put them underneath the shoulder pad of the guy you're blocking. And that's exactly what I saw when watching the Suns and the Lakers, specifically Rui Hachimura, which I did not think that Rui, I saw it initially, and I saw a bunch of preview comments about, DeAndre Ayton's going to lock up Wemby tonight. And then they put Rui on him for like a good part of the closing out of that game. And he just did such a great job of just putting his hands right on Wembanyama and forcing him off the spot.
Right.
I think that's the key, right? And then also with like you said, with those doublings, every now and then to kind of throw him off and move him off the spot even more.
Right.
Now, the second part of this question is, how does Wemby respond to this? What do you think is the next evolution in his game to beat these doubles and these physical, I wouldn't even call them like elite defenders, just people playing physical against him?
Yeah. This falls on two parties. Let's start with Wemby on an individual level, but then we'll get to Coach Johnson and the entire staff and what they can do to help Wemby. But as for Wemby on an individual level, play faster. I think as soon as you say pace in the NBA, we're thinking full court, up and down, run. But you have to play with pace in the half court as well. So can you catch it and immediately get to your attack? Because if you do that, there isn't time for guys to walk over and sit in the gaps. There isn't time for guys to step over and be on the lane line while you're trying to drive. So if you get it and go immediately, you're going to mitigate some of the walls, traps and schemes that teams want to play on you. So I think that's the first step. Second is getting the ball out quicker when you do decide to pass. It kind of falls in that same lane of just being a bit more quick with how you play, because once you get it and once these defenses do set up, as soon as they set up, now they're anticipating you to look and go score. So if you're going to do that, hit that, first pass as soon as you can, catch them off guard, give your guys a chance to drive a closeout, possibly put a shot up. If you can just create a minor advantage off of your gravity as an elite offensive player, you're now putting your team in a much better position. And you've got athletes like Stephon Castle who can get down the hill, pitch it on anybody. Vassell can create a little bit. My guy, Keldon Johnson, he can get to the rim. Champagne's been knocking down a few corner threes. So just give those guys just a little bit of an advantage. And I think that'll be key for them. Now, as for the coaching staff, I think you've got to try to get him the ball in situations, once again, where a team can't load up on him. So stampede action is a great example. we see it a lot where teams will set up a pick and roll. Let's say it's on the left side of the floor. We get the big to come up. We now have, the big guarding and contain the pick and roll. We've got everyone kind of glued to the shooters, but then you just swing it cross court, let a player catch it, and immediately get on the go. So now Wemby doesn't have to face someone that's rotating, doesn't have to face a shot blocker, doesn't really have to get to too many counter moves because it's just me and you, and not that many people can match up with him one-on-one. So that would be one of the first tactical things I would like to see, but also utilizing him off the ball. They do kind of set these wide pin downs for him occasionally, but using those pin downs, but also in action like floppy, give him the choice. If you start him on the baseline and you've got screens on both sides, just logistically, a defense can't predict which way he's going to go, so you can't load up again. You let him come off and attack immediately. So I would say kind of actions like those that let him get to a spot, attack quickly, or you put him in a spot and you have, let's say we're getting to a post up quickly. Let's get a post split going. Let's get someone screening for someone off ball, because that's going to mess with your ability to zone up. And once you do that, people are always going to be looking at the ball. So if we're screening, we're slipping in behind that, we can also find ways for him to play make, to score, and just kind of keep the defense a bit more honest until Fox gets back, until Kornet gets back, and maybe we see a little bit less pressure on him as an individual player.
Yeah, I think De'Aaron Fox being out for this amount of time, has put a lot of weight on his shoulders for, offensively and quite frankly, even defensively, right? I mean, Fox is a capable defender. That's probably disrespectful, honestly. I think he's a pretty good defender.
So
I think Wemby is going to be just fine once even Castle and Harper are, capable shot creators themselves.
Yeah.
Once you have a serious threat like Fox that comes onto the court and is just so unbelievably quick, you don't have one, like you said, with pace, even in the half court, you don't have time to throw a double or even shift your defense if Fox is tearing down the lane to go to the basket, right? So yeah, I think, slowing down Wemby is an interesting concept right now, just because we're seeing Wembanyama pretty much by himself as like a premier player. But you put him with a guy like Fox, and I think he becomes even more of a nightmare matchup.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head. If I'm running a pick and roll on the left side, you better bring help early for Fox because he's that quick. Yeah. You have to stop him. If he's trying to get paint touches, you can't let him hit the paint because it's kind of over by that point. Such a speedy guy, such a fast guy, can handle and create for himself. So that's going to be a big bailout for Wemby. If you do send a double, now you want someone to close out to Fox and stop him one-on-one. That's a very tall task. And I think it's going to be a lot better. Also throw Kornet in there, because once you get another big body that can rebound on the glass, if you're going to zone up, it acts like zone defense, which one of the biggest, drawbacks of a zone defense is leaving holes on the glass. So you have a big body in Kornet that can fill in those gaps and start, digging in space and finding rebounds, which makes you a bit more hesitant to throw extra bodies in Wemby's way.
I completely agree. Speaking of Fox, I remember I was covering Alabama men's basketball. This was a few years ago, and they played a matchup against Kentucky. And off the top of my head, I can't remember the guard for Kentucky, but he was a transfer from Georgia. But he reminded me a lot of De'Aaron Fox at like a college level, right? Unbelievably fast and crafty, and able to get to the basket at an elite level. And I interviewed an assistant coach from Alabama, and he called that guy an elbow guy, which meant you cannot let him get below the elbow, because once he does, that's a bucket. Easy. And I think Fox is absolutely that. So I want to see what that Spurs offense looks like now with Fox. Champagnie has been playing great basketball so far this season. So this could honestly be a serious playoff contender. I kind of thought at the beginning of the season that they would be like semi-competitive, like 7-8 seed maybe. But now I'm thinking, man, especially with this 5-0 start, they lost a couple now, but still, this is a team that could go like 47 and 35 and make a 3 or 4 seed, right?
Realistically, no, I agree with you 100%. The glimpses we saw of Harper before he went out with the calf strain, it's like he doesn't look like a rookie. He's getting downhill. He's not struggling with the physicality. He's playing in the pick and roll. Castle and Wemby seem to have really good chemistry. I also just love Stephon Castle as a guard on his own. He is not afraid to take the task defensively. Did a great job when he had reps on Luka the other night. Can shift away from that traditional point guard role and then just kind of play a utility guard where he'll defend, get boards, fill in, the passing and playmaking spots where you need him, score, get to the paint, looking a bit more polished on his pull-up jumpers. So I think you're very accurate on this team having a real chance to be even middle of the West and kind of completely escaping the play-in.
Yeah, that's where I think they're at right now. And I was a guy, I really wasn't that familiar with Castle's game over the offseason. I actually made a take that the Spurs, now that they drafted Harper, should trade him. But looking at what Castle can be on the court as an off-ball player and an on-ball defender, man, I'm so glad they didn't trade him because, man, he is so valuable for this team. Last year he got, won the Rookie of the Year, but people have not really put a lot of respect on his name. Obviously, that rookie class last year was, mid to say the least, right? Yeah. But Castle, going into some of these other rookie classes, would have been up there as a Rookie of the Year candidate. Yeah, he played great last season. So let's transition a little bit now. We've talked about the Rockets, the Spurs. Let's talk about another big name team in the West, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the defending champs, the pre-crowned dynasty for the next few years. Yeah. You made a great video. I encourage everybody to go check it out on TikTok and Instagram. SGA, honestly, look at I don't have his numbers pulled up at the moment, but if you look at his first quarter, second quarter scoring, they're down from last year. But his fourth quarter scoring, and specifically second half scoring, is through the roof. We saw it happen versus Houston in game 1. I think he went into the fourth quarter with 11 points. He finished with 33. So just crazy work. But talk to me real quick about what makes SGA so great as a score first point guard.
I'm just in awe of SGA and the work he's been able to do. I will not believe a single soul if you told me that coming out of Kentucky, you thought he would be this. The skill development, the work on his body. I think it all starts with his want and ability to get to the rim. That first, he led the league in drives per game last year. Is probably still somewhere up there to start this year. So you always have to be worried about his ability to get past you and finish at the rim. He doesn't look very strong, but he's functionally strong. He's consistently moving bigger bodies out of his way with a variety of bumps, different gathers. So he's able to carve out space and finish at the rim. Then he added this super silky mid-range game. So now the two work off each other perfectly. If he can get to the rim, all right, cool. I've showed you I can do that. So now your first instinct is try to beat him to the spot. Don't allow him to finish at the rim. So now he can slam on the brakes, step back, slam on the brakes, up and under, shot fake. Just kind of lull you to sleep, hesitation, pull up in the mid-range. So many different tools in that toolkit from there. And what kind of set me on edge was last year, I was watching a play-in game not a play-in, in-season tournament game they had with Dallas.
Yeah.
He just casually strolls up, and Clay's giving him a bit too much room, pound dribbles into a step back and hits a three. And I was like, you didn't have that. You didn't have that a second ago. So now he's scoring on all three levels and doing so efficiently. So no matter what you try to take away, there's still another great option for him. And that's not even mentioning his insane bag of counters. He's got spin moves. He's got step backs. His between the leg is really nice. He's got a great change of pace with it. Can go behind the back. Any move that you mentioned, he's got it. He can change pace. You can't speed him up. He's phenomenal at getting to his bumps and separating. I know that gets people a little bit upset, but then you're kind of wary of not being too physical with him because he can get to the foul line and he's not
like nobody's business.
So I think he's just kind of a problem that no one has solved and no one can answer right now. Your best hope is to try to defend him as a team, but even then he's going to have moments where he can get someone on an island and just show how great he is. I really do believe of the 2010s, he will go down as the best individual one-on-one shot maker that our generation has seen. I really
Wow.
do believe he's just that great.
Yeah. So when he was coming out of Kentucky, he went to the Clippers, and his time with the Clippers, he reminds me a lot of what Collin Sexton is today. That like aggressive perimeter defender who can also score, but doesn't like Collin Sexton. I actually was in college with him at the same time, and we went to the same university at Alabama. By the way, Roll Tide. But there's not really like a quote unquote bag with Sexton. And that is really what has developed SGA into being so elite. And then combine that with the unbelievable body control that he has, the ability, like you said, on that step back to take a pound dribble and take all of his momentum, push it forward just to use, like, it's such a silky smooth step back too. It's unbelievable. It doesn't remind me of James Harden, because James Harden was all about those like those quick dribbles, right?
Yeah.
And the tippy tap step backs with his 5-6 steps.
Right.
No disrespect to James Harden, one of the best ISO players in NBA history, but with SGA, like it is like watching water flow from a waterfall, man. It's just so beautiful to watch, and that's what I love about him. You talked about in your video breaking down some of his late scoring plays in some of these games that he's played so far this season, is his ability to hunt like ISO, not even ISO matchups, but matchups off the screen. And you also mentioned earlier in this video talking about pace. It's not just about running up and down the court. It's also about picking your points of attack and being deliberate with that.
Yes.
And so that's what SGA does better than anybody. Like he is the assassin of the league, in the sense that he will sit and wait and dribble back and forth. Yes. And the second that he sees that opening, man, it's over. It's a bucket or it's a foul. Every time.
It's over. It's over. It's literally like, it's like watching a shark, in the second he smells blood. Oh my goodness, it's wraps. Watching that OKC game versus Houston to start the year, you're just coming down and it's like, okay, he's really struggled. He's not been in rhythm, but you just see him lock in the fourth quarter, and he's still being guarded by Amin Thompson. He's being guarded by one of the very best perimeter defenders in the league, but it just seems to not matter. He's now found his rhythm. He's comfortable. He's getting to his bumps, getting to his spots. And I love the point that you mentioned. It's like water. The second you take one thing away from him, he's flowing right to the next. And
that's a great one. Yeah.
More than he does. Whatever you take away, okay, boom, I got this. And you're watching defenders give their very best, teams give their very best, and nothing you seem to do works. I would be shivering cold at night if I had to game plan against SGA, because there just seems to be no answer.
Yeah, honestly, so the two biggest nightmare matchups, if I was ever out to defend somebody in an NBA game, it would be SGA, because I know he's put me on an island every time, and it's just me and him. But the second one would be Steph Curry, right? Not because, he's got a bag, but he would just run me until I wanted to throw up every single game. So, man, those two guys they're so special at scoring, and this is what's so beautiful about the NBA today, is that they do it in such different ways, and that they have their different spots. Like, SGA is an elbow worker. Like that guy knows what to do with the ball once you get, even on the perimeter, right? But his spot right there on the elbow, it's just a chef's kiss, man. And then Curry, you pick a spot on the court. I don't care if it's on the other free throw line, right? He's got it. So, okay. I'm going to go ahead and cut this video right here. By the way, guys, check him out on Instagram, TikTok, or is it Collin.Hatfield Show, right?
Yes.
On TikTok and Instagram. Go check him out. He's brilliant. We're about to do another episode and talk about a couple teams in the East as well. Collin, thank you so much, man, for hopping on here. It has been a true pleasure. And thank you guys all so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and thank you all so much for watching again. See you next time.